Okay, I appreciate that message. Am I muted now? I don't think I am. See, this is what happens when you. This is what happens when you do it without practice or training. So I appreciate that message. Thank you. I was basically going through the history of the Seafire. So the kit I'm doing today, or I will be, this is quite a large kit, so it's going to take me a lot longer than one day, is the reprint of the Airfix Seafire. Appreciate that, OL1233. Now I can hear you. Thank you. So yes, the Spitfire was originally based on a float plane, and one of the tells is that if you look at a Spitfire, the landing gear are very close together, very narrow gap between the landing gear, and it's kind of funny, or I think it's funny that it was originally a float plane, and then they re-engineered it in the late 30s, early 40s. Actually, I think it was 1941. They re-engineered it to be a Navy plane that takes off from aircraft carriers. And this Airfix kit is, I believe, the only kit of the Seafire that allows you to build the wings folded. If I can find it in the instructions here. Yes, you can build the wings folded, so that's what I'm going to be doing. And I obviously normally make computer videos, but building model kits and painting is what I do in my spare time. So I thought, hey, why not stream it? Why not why not have some fun and maybe share my hobby with some people? And I'm not a master painter by any means. I should have brought examples of my models up here to show you, but I'm not an expert. I'm not some god of painting. In fact, I have an airbrush. I have two airbrushes. I am terrible with airbrushes, and I am still learning. So, so you'll have to bear with me. But obviously, I haven't actually started the kit yet. It is all completely sealed. So I'm hoping that I'll be able to kind of just go through how I like to build model kits. Maybe you'll enjoy it. The Seafire is a fascinating aeroplane. It really is. Spitfires and Seafires and all of the World War II aircraft are very, very interesting. I saw a tweet years ago, which it was like, once a man hits 30, he can either choose to get really into World War II history or start smoking meats. And I do not have a grill. That's my neighbor who grills every day. So I have definitely chosen the World War II history, World War II history end of that. So that's fun. And this is a 1:48 scale kit, which means it's going to be about that big. And in fact, you can see on the sprue, I have my, I'm actually using my proper Blackmagic camera for this, going through a capture card. So I can manually focus it like that. Oh, and it actually has a pilot. Although I always do my planes gear down. I like to have them all in the display case gear down. So we actually do have a pilot, which is nice. And yeah, that's about the size of it. It's not a particularly large kit. I actually did earlier this year. I did the 1:24 Spitfire, which was enormous. That's about that big or so. That was a brilliant kit. Very much fun, but it took me like 9 months to do. That's why I bought an airbrush, actually, because the idea of painting areas of color that were about that big with a brush and making it look good gave me nightmares. Spitfire is it's kind of a symbol of Britain. So the fact I'm making this in the States, obviously, I should be doing a P-51 Mustang or I don't know, what would be the equivalent of the Seafire? Something like a Wildcat or a Hellcat. There is a fantastic World War II museum in Colorado Springs, right by the airport. I flew out of that airport to go to Vegas, and the museum next to it is fantastic. And I think they have a Hellcat there that flies. It's an actual working one. So yeah, Navy. I don't know if you've ever stood next to a Navy plane, a US Navy plane. They're a lot bigger than they look in photos. British planes tend to be relatively reasonable in their terms of size, but American Navy planes are enormous. And it's really funny if you go through and look at flying examples of these planes, they always have drip trays underneath them, because if it if there's no oil coming out of it, it means there's no oil left in the engine, which is which is if you've owned a classic car or I don't know, a Land Rover or something, you'll recognize that. In fact, obviously, first things first, we've got to do the cockpit. British RAF planes are painted in an absolutely lovely light green, interior green, and I don't have any of that. So we're going to build the cockpit, but not actually paint it. Unfortunately, I've had to put the camera reasonably far away because I don't want to spray my expensive camera with the airbrush. Because the airbrush, you can probably tell from the malaise of color here, the overspray in the airbrush is quite intense. And I'd rather not get that all over my very expensive camera, which I do use for regular YouTube videos. Maybe I'll buy one of those nice webcams to do this, if it turns out to be fun. That being said, yeah, this is going to be a test stream, so this will be maybe 30 minutes to an hour, something like that. I'm not going to be doing some marathon. Man, maybe what I should do. Where is focus? There's focus. Maybe what I should be doing is, when I get the pieces, pull them up in close up like that to actually trim them out, trim them down. No, Clom, I am not going to sit down for 30 hours and stream. That would actually kill me. It's also, I've got the big lights up here. It gets really hot in my office. So my office faces west. So as soon as the sun crosses midday, it blasts into my office and makes it really, really hot in here, which is obviously not super pleasant when I'm trying to work in the evenings. And I'm actually quite grateful. I used to work nights. I used to do like 3 p.m. till 1 a.m. Those are my hours for work. And they changed me to 6, I think it's 6 a.m. to 4 p.m. or something. But work has been so nuts recently that I've been doing 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. and things like that, which just kills me, man. I can't be dealing with that. So this is the little control panel. There we go. Obviously, the actual crazies who do model kits, I shouldn't call them crazies, they're kings actually, will paint each of these pieces, each of the dials by hand. But I am not like that. I just use the decal. That being said, there's no control panel decal in this kit. How annoying. Yeah, well, I guess I'll have to. Or maybe I'll put the, I'll do the really lazy way of doing it where you just dab white and then roughly dry brush black over it. And yeah, I'm not, like I say, I am not the king of model kits. If you do want to see someone who's really, really good, there's a YouTube channel called Night Shift, and he doesn't do aircraft, he does armor, but his models are fantastic, and he does full dioramas. Basically, every model he does is a full diorama, and it's rather beautiful. And what I like to do to make myself feel bad is I get my phone and I put my phone there with a Night Shift video playing and then watch that while I paint myself to a much lower standard. But Night Shift is fantastic. He recently did. I'm sure you've seen the photo of the tank turret in the lake. Oh, Panzer of the Lake, what is your wisdom? He made a diorama of that, which is brilliant, with resin water and it's absolutely gorgeous. So yeah, go check him out. It looks like 33. So it looks like this part is the compass, although A42, okay, that's fine. Yeah, you'll get in model kits, in model kits of the Spitfire, there's always an enormous variety of how much detail you actually get. And I've built some very, very crappy kits in the past where there's basically no interior detail at all. Something that really annoys me, here is the compass. Something that really annoys me about model kits is a lot of the time companies will reprint a model kit from the 50s or earlier, sometimes earlier than the 50s. My oldest model that I've built is from 1957, which is older than my parents by quite a few years. But they'll reprint a kit from the 50s, and then they'll just put it in the modern branding and modern style of packaging, and go, oh yeah, no, this is a modern kit, and that's very annoying to me because obviously, if I'm buying a model kit for full price with modern packaging, I expect it to be reasonably modern. And Revell is the absolute worst. Airfix do it too, but they tend to use what they call vintage classics, where they will reprint a kit with its original packaging and call it a vintage classic and sell it at a discount, which I tend to really like. So this is extremely fiddly. There we go. And yeah, I like to use Tamiya Extra Thin cement. It's poly cement, so it only works on styrene plastic. I'm pretty sure all of Airfix is made from styrene these days, but it actually chemically melts it and then bonds it together as one piece of plastic, and it is the only real way to build model kits at this sort of scale. Here's a pro tip. It also will strip paint. So here's a pro tip for you. Tamiya Extra Thin is exactly the same liquid as Tamiya Paint Stripper. So if you want cheap extra thin cement, go buy one of the big jugs of Paint Stripper and just pour it into these. So that's your pro tip, and that works out to be significantly cheaper than buying these on their own. Not that these are particularly expensive. One thing I really like about models is that they are quite cheap on the whole. They tend to be fairly low cost. It looks like we've got some clear parts. So that will be the gun sight. So on World War II planes, the gun sights are all they're kind of computers, but in an analog way. If that makes sense. You'll have a series of mirrors or prisms, and you'll select what size, what plane you're targeting. So BF-109, FW-190, whatever. Each of them are different sizes, and what you do is you select what size it is, and that adjusts the gun sight back and forth. And then when you fit the wingspan of the aircraft in the gun sight, that means you're in range and you can hit them with the cannons. So, or the machine guns. Of course, there are cannons, machine guns, whatever. They're slightly different ranges, but there'll be different things. And so on this kit, we've got actually a transparent gun sight, and you paint the sides, and then it would be like it's a piece of plastic, transparent plastic, so it's kind of a prism. But I'm probably not going to put that on because the gun sight goes at the top, and the when I paint this, I'll do flat black primer, and then I'll paint the gun sight by hand. So next is the control stick, and the Spitfire's control stick has this the top part. I'm not even sure what I would call it. Is I do play flight sims. I do play Microsoft Flight Simulator. I absolutely love it in VR. And the Spitfire Mark 9 in Flight Simulator is probably the best model of the Spitfire that you can get. It's absolutely gorgeous. And I actually used it. It's a Mark 9, and I used screenshots from Microsoft Flight Simulator with the Spitfire Mark 9 as reference material when I was painting the big Spitfire. So because you can do the free cam or like drone cam and clip through the aircraft in Flight Sim. And so what I did is I clipped through and I just went screenshot, 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 pulled them up on a display while I was painting to actually get the correct colors according to Flight Simulator. And so yes, I absolutely adore Flight Sim. I haven't been playing it that much recently because it's been really, really hot, and it's quite an intense game to play. Obviously, my gaming PC is in my office behind me, and so it's been a relatively hot summer, and I just don't like spending large amounts of time actually playing it, because because I end up melting in the office. The flight stick I use is it's a basic Thrustmaster. It's the orange and black one. I have it somewhere around. I almost did a video a few months ago. I had a Windows XP machine, and I had Flight Simulator 2004, the one with Concorde on the front. And my flight stick that I bought in 2020 works absolutely perfectly in XP and in Flight Simulator 2004 because they've pretty much been making that exact same flight stick for like 20 years. And I almost made that into a video, but working with Windows XP is kind of a pain in the ass nowadays. So I ended up scrapping it. That was also in my old house. I used to live in California. And it wasn't I didn't have the most amount of time because I actually worked in an office. Nowadays, I work entirely from home. But when you're driving in from Ventura to LA every single day, there and back, you kind of run out of time. There aren't enough hours in the day, and I get that. I get that today as well. Yeah, you're saying you've used the same one since 2008. Yeah, exactly. LGR just did a video about a flight stick with force feedback, and those don't exist, which is really weird because why does racing wheels with force feedback? Why are those the standard? And Thrustmaster themselves make racing wheels with force feedback, and why is that technology not in flight sticks? I don't know. I realize a racing wheel going like that with like a linear motor on the back, that's a lot easier than a flight stick with 3 degrees of freedom. But yeah, it's just weird when racing wheels and sim racing is such an enormous deal that actual Formula One drivers do sim racing now. So I guess what we need to do is get actual pilots to play flight sim. Or I guess there aren't any celebrity pilots, are there? Unless you count like Kenneth Copeland, he's a celebrity pilot. He's also the devil incarnate, so maybe we shouldn't give him any more publicity. And yet, the thing I really like about Tamiya Extra Thin is oh, I'm so stupid. The thing I like about Tamiya Extra Thin is that it's extra thin. Yeah, duh, dimwit. So you can basically use it to wick into the small. Let's try and get my hands in focus. You can wick it into the small areas and let it set, and that's how I do it. And I have some other glues here, but there's no comparison to Extra Thin. Honestly, Tamiya is probably the best model kit company in the world. That being said, I love Vallejo Model Air. That's my favorite paint to use. I have a whole bunch of it here. I just did the prehistoric planet Carnosaurus, which is not a plane, but I painted it entirely with Vallejo Model Air. And yeah, the airbrush I use is a Iwata Neo. I have a really cheap China Special one as well, but that sucks, so I stopped using it. And the Iwata Neo is very, very good. It's expensive though. I say that as someone who does PC gaming videos. It's not expensive compared to a 4090. It's about $100, so not the end of the world. It's affordable if you want to up your model making game. I'm pretty sure Night Shift uses exclusively cheap airbrushes because he goes through them so quickly. Buying $100 one would be a waste. I think he uses like $10 Chinese ones, but he's a lot better at this than I am. So we've got rudder pedals that go through the control stick. It's so difficult to show this on camera. I wish I could turn focus peaking on because I'm using a capture card. If I turned focus peaking on, you would just see it and everything would have a red outline. Yeah, my background is I went to film school in the UK, and so I I go kind of hard on pretending to be a professional. It's not like most YouTube channels where they're like, oh, I bought a camera and a microphone and I'm plugging it in. I'm like, this is a Blackmagic Pocket Cinema 4K, which does not have continuous autofocus, which is why you see me manual focusing it, because continuous autofocus is not how the real industry does it. There we go, and that's not the neatest, but you can see 1:48 is still relatively small, certainly compared to the 1:24 kit, which is obviously half the scale, so twice the size. But there's still reasonable amounts of detail in the pedals. Not that you'll be able to see any of this, obviously, when it's actually built, because all of this is interior detail. I did see you can cut the door out on this. So on the Spitfire, to get in and out of it, the canopy moves back and then this door opens, and so you can cut that, but I probably won't because I'm absolutely horrible at cutting plastic. I'd end up destroying it. And then I'd be sad because this kit was a gift and I don't want to ruin the gift. I should open up Flight Sim and dox myself by flying over my house. Flight Sim is actually magnificent. It's worn off. The novelty's worn off, but I do still open it up every so often and go, hey, I can just fly to my dad's house, which is nuts. I can fly to my dad's house from the airfield that he used to take off from, which is like mind blowing. And when you go back to 2004 or whatever, and you go, oh, well, I used to live in Burbank. I'm very familiar with Burbank Airport. And you go there, and it's like, I mean, kind of. It's almost Burbank. It's almost the right shape. Hey, Unreal. Yo to you. How's it going? What are you up to on Saturday afternoon? Or evening? I don't know where you live. You could be in Australia, for all I know. I should probably get more ventilation because this is a solvent. Let me just put a bunch of solvent on and then breathe really, really closely. So yeah, it looks like the seat. Oh, 12. Yeah, see, you're in Dubai. It's 12 a.m. It's Sunday already. I knew it. How's the weather in Dubai? Yeah, no, I don't need brain cells. It's probably hotter than it is in Colorado, hey? I imagine September in Dubai is probably hotter than I can handle. I've never actually been. I had a friend who grew up in Abu Dhabi, of all places, which is close. Not quite, but yeah. Her name was Rose. I knew her in high school. Yeah, Abu Dhabi's Dubai is a fascinating place. I'd love to visit, of course, but I can't afford flights to like the next state over, let alone an entirely new continent. Yeah, 42 degrees is minimum. Exactly. No, I would die. That would just kill me. I grew up in the UK, for goodness sake. Yeah, afternoon temps, 42. I can't handle that. That's insane. How do you do it? Is it just air conditioning? You just don't go outside when it's that hot? And for American viewers, 42 is like 100 and 103 or something. It's hot, very hot. Yeah, I mean, I'm super into cars, so obviously Saudi Arabia, Dubai, you know, world famous for having supercars. Yeah, you guessed it, hide in the AC. Yeah, that's what I would do. I don't even have AC in this house. I have a horrible portable unit that is so loud I can barely think when it's on. I put on like noise cancelling headphones and I still can't think because it's too bloody loud. But yeah, yeah, I mean, my car, I have two cars. I have a 2006 Nissan and a 1999 Corvette. Neither of the AC systems in those cars are particularly good. So I would definitely not survive even if I could stay in the car. I like to think American cars, they build the AC unit first and then they build the rest of the car around it. But the Corvette's got 142,000 miles on it, so it's a little bit worn out, a little bit creaky. In fact, Clom in the chat, I've driven him around in the Corvette, and it's a little bit creaky. But yeah, I like it. It's fun. It's a stick shift, so you know, keep it as long as I can. They're gonna have to take my stick shifts over my dead body. Yeah. Actually, I actually really like the Maverick, Ford Maverick, because it's super efficient, but not available in a stick shift, so it'll have to wait. Even if it does get 3 times the 3 times the mileage that my Xterra does. And unfortunately, Colorado gets quite a lot of snow. So I need something with all-wheel drive or four-wheel drive, otherwise I can't live. Last year, it got down to the lowest in around my house. It got to -19. I picked my mother up from the airport. That's Celsius. I picked my mother up from the airport. It was -29 at Denver International, which is the coldest place I've ever been in my life. So -29, that's like Antarctic temperatures. And yeah, the Corvette C3, I love the C3. But the C3 is more expensive than the C5 and the C6. I have a C5 because they're classics now. And fuel prices are crazy here, even where, yeah, literally, Saudi Arabia or Dubai, that's the oil pipeline that goes across the desert. That's literally where the money comes from. And yeah, it's kind of funny. The Xterra is so bad on gas. The Corvette is my fuel efficient car because it's a great big V8. It's 5.7 liter V8 that only has to move about 1.2 tons or something. And so it's my super efficient. My super efficient Prius is my Corvette. But of course I can't drive it half the year because it's rains, torrential rains, or snow. And what I really don't want to do is slide the Corvette off a mountain cliff and die. And yeah, I was saying I love the C3. It's such a cool looking car. The C3 is one of my all-time favorite classic cars, but I can't afford one. They're too expensive. They're classic cars now. And yeah, it's fun. Maybe when I become a YouTube millionaire, because of course every YouTuber is a millionaire. I'll buy a C3 or a C1 if I get really rich. Paint it pink like in the Barbie movie. No, I'd probably get shot by the Corvette Owners Club if I bought a C1 and painted it hot pink. What did they use in the movie? It was 1958s, I think, because they had they had the one headlight, and the two headlights are 61 and newer. I did end up going to a Corvette Owners Club months ago, and they're pretty good guys. They're fun guys. So yeah, I've got back to actually doing the model. Yeah, purists would kill me. Exactly. They'd get, and they're all Americans. They're all red-blooded Americans, so they've all got guns as well. So I've got the interior parts pretty much glued, and I'll paint these. I'll do a primer coat with probably the airbrush. I probably won't use a rattle can for these because they're quite delicate. So I use a primer coat with the airbrush, and then I'll hand paint these at some point. But yeah, you can see the bucket seats, and I'm not sure what that lever is on the right-hand side of the seat. I'd have to look that up. It might be. It might. No, it's not going to be throttle. I'm not sure. Maybe something specific for the Seafire. And yeah, I like to use. They would have very, very cheap. Obviously, they're built for like extreme cost savings and extreme like emergency, right? The warplanes. And so you get one size fits nobody. And if you've ever dealt with, I find it very funny when you see the like tactical products and you go, this is military grade equipment. And I've never been in the military, but most of my family has. And they will tell you that military grade means built by the lowest bidder. And for like, well, I guess this would be a post-war Seafire, but for Spitfires in the military, they were built to be cheap and fast. Get them out because you can if you stop, the Germans will take over the country. So go faster. And no, the Spitfires did not have ejector seats. That is a 1950s addition to fighters, the ejector seat. In fact, the ejector seats were invented in the Lake District, which is where some of my family live in the UK. There's basically a rocket company in the Lake District. I'd have to look it up what it's called, but they have a museum there, and it's quite funny because they've got all these American ejector seats from F-15s and F-86s and what's the Super Sabre? I can't remember. What was the Super Sabre? Can't remember. Whatever, doesn't matter. And so they'd have all these American equipment, and it's because they built the ejector seats for all of these. And I think they still do, although they're no longer based in the Lake District because that's a national park, and you can't really build military equipment out of a national park. I think if you tried building fighter jets in Yellowstone, they'd they'd have a fit. They'd have a conniption. So now it's just going to be gluing the interior parts into the interior. Let me try and get that in focus. Thank you, old Paul. Unfortunately, I can't do any of this. Although, let me see. Oh, I do have DE green, which is relatively close to interior green. I might put a drop of something in. Oh no, this is interior green. Ignore me. You see, when you buy paint by the bucket load, you lose track of what you've got. So what I might do is actually just lazily put some stuff on. So there's actually quite a lot of molded interior detail on the inside. How close can I get with this camera? Or this lens, I should say. There's actually a fair bit of molded detail on the inside. And that is the door. You can see the inside of the door that you could cut out. And that looks scary because you'd have to just to actually cut it out. And I don't like doing that. It's scary. So I'll do it with the door closed. My brush pot is lens. Yes. This is a gift from my sister. It's perfect for me because I'm big into cameras and I'm big into painting. Although I think it was supposed to be a pencil pot, but hey, it works for paintbrushes, right? Yeah, it was a gift from my sister. My family like to encourage me to do expensive hobbies. No, I shouldn't call this expensive when I make computer videos. Oh God. So I've always wanted to say this in a video. Doing stuff on camera is uh, doing stuff on camera is so much more difficult than doing it just on your own. And when I worked in the office, my boss, you know, the CTO of the company, would be standing behind me, and I try and do something that I'd done 1,000 times, and just because he was over my shoulder, I'd like completely screw it up, and I'd make 4 typos, and I'd completely mess it up. And in fact, when my dad came to visit, so my dad is also a huge car guy. That's why I am, right? And so when he came to visit, I picked him up from the airport in the Corvette, and and immediately coming out of the coming out of the car park, I almost stalled it because he was sitting next to me, and it's like, oh, I gotta make sure I drive well for my dad. I stole the car almost immediately. It's such a terrible idea. What's a terrible idea? Oh God, what am I doing? Old poi? Is that how you say it? Yeah, old poi. Yeah, exactly. You can play the drums. You're almost unrecordable because you can't get it. It's such a tough thing to get over. I just can't handle it. What I might do is bring the camera down just a tad. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about. And I find it so difficult to. Oh no, you can see the iPad. I'm reading the chat off. I find it so difficult to do things on camera, and I know that sounds ironic because I literally have a YouTube channel where I do all kinds of things on camera, but man, it's tough. It's like some sort of psychological block. I don't know. So yeah, I realize I'm using airbrush paint directly on the model, but here's a pro tip for you. The only difference between airbrush paint and regular paint is it's thinned down a little bit. And so you want to thin your paints anyway if you're hand painting on something, because the thinner the paint is, the less likely you are to get brush strokes, because the paint is liquid enough that it will kind of smooth out and hide your brush strokes. But this is interior detail, so I'm not going to be super worried about it being absolutely flawless, because you're not going to be able to see it. And you know what's funny? I am extremely good at public speaking. In high school, we had a is it Room 101, where you do like a monologue about something you hate. We did a Room 101 exercise, and mine was so popular that they had me write and perform 2 more for extra credit in high school. And of course, I was extremely lazy in school, so doing something that just made people laugh was, and getting credit for it was brilliant. Yeah, I was a horrible student. My teachers absolutely hated me, but oh yes, Unreal. So I use Vallejo is the best. So as you can see, I have Citadel. I have the Warhammer Citadel paints, and some Humbrol stuff, some Army Painter. The paint I swear by is Vallejo. This is Model Air, but because I use it with an airbrush, right? But anything from Vallejo is going to be really good, and it is expensive. I'm never going to say it's not expensive, because hey, it's high quality stuff. But it's not stupid expensive. If you can find a model shop near you, and luckily I actually have 2 model shops near me. If you can find a model shop near you that you can drive to and you don't have to pay shipping, it's unbeatable, I think. I know some people go Tamiya paints are better, but the problem with Tamiya paints is that they are alcohol based, and so what you get is that you have to use alcohol based thinner. Whereas with the Model Air, I use this, well, for an airbrush, I use the Airbrush Flow Improver, but you could just use water to thin regular water-based acrylics, and I find that so much more convenient. I think you can use. I'm not a modeling expert, obviously. I mean, look at me. I'm pretty sure you can use the Tamiya X20 acrylic thinner on Vallejo paints. But yeah, it's another thing that you might be hitting Unreal if you're getting paint peeling off is you might have to prime it first. So what I usually use is I'll just grab regular black paint, stick it in the airbrush, prime all of it. In fact, I have, this is another FX kit. This is the McLaren 720. And what I do is once it's built to a certain, where's the camera? Once it's built to a certain standard, I'll just prime the whole thing with the airbrush, and you can see the airbrush overspray here. And then once it's primed like this, it will take paint very, very well. And so you won't get the orange peel effect, and it hopefully will stick, because if you look at what I've just done, there was a little bit, what I should have done is wash this, because there was a little bit of mold release. So the way injection molded kits are made is it's two giant tools that come together, and then they shoot hot plastic in, and then they come apart. And to make them come apart easily, they cover the tools with mold release. And unfortunately, paint doesn't stick to mold release. And so what you sometimes have to do, and this is especially true on cheaper model kits, is absolutely blast it with mold release before you start paint. Not mold release, absolutely blast it under the sink with warm water before you start painting, because otherwise the paint's not going to stick. And you'll get bubbles, and you'll get, just a little bit of the paint kind of coming apart. So looking at, so the instructions just saying glue this in. What I might do, maybe I should do this. Let's get the airbrush out. All right. Make sure my compressor's on. So yeah, it's just a cheap compressor from Amazon. But the airbrush is a relatively nice one. It's an Iwata Neo. So I'll leave those over to the side. And then all I'm going to do is blast some. In fact, I might actually use, where's the paint I was just using? Yeah, the 71-126. I'll use this in the airbrush. So where's my flow improver? So yeah, to paint with an airbrush, well, a gravity-fed airbrush at least, you put the paint in there, and then you hit the button, and it comes out. It's very simple. No, it is a real skill. I shouldn't be facetious. Airbrushing, and I'm not very good at that. I'm just not. So what I'm going to do, because I think the interior are not panels, the strengthening things are, I think they're painted in the same green. So let's just grab some of that. And yeah, I don't need much. And then because this is a 0.4 millimeter needle, I always use the flow improver just to thin it down a tiny bit, and just a couple of drops. And then what I usually do is grab a stick. I've got hundreds. I bought a massive bag of these wooden sticks, and they are fantastic to mix inside the flow, the gravity. Oh, old poi! I didn't catch that. It appeared for a second, and I couldn't read it in time. Another thing that you probably want to do if you're getting into models is you want to get. I've got a helping hand, the claw things. I also have a whole bunch of these, which are just fiberglass sticks with alligator clips on the end, and they are absolutely brilliant because you can put a piece on and paint it that way. So yeah, I'm going to be bad at this and just do it by hand. Oh, you can't see that. Dang it. Maybe I should move the camera closer, but I really don't want to get paint on my camera. That's the problem. And yeah, this color, this green isn't exactly the right green. Whatever. Although, were the sea fires Oh yeah, Raspberry Pi 5 and Counter-Strike 2 videos. I'm making a plane. Yeah, I know. I thought about buying a Raspberry Pi 5. I really did, but I am poor at the moment. So my HOA, I own this house, but I have a HOA payment that obviously I'm not the biggest fan of HOAs at all. And because they are anti-American, anti-freedom, and they basically threatened to increase the monthly payment by $244 a month, and just out of the blue said, "Hey, by the way, you're going to owe us $244 more every month from now until indefinite." And obviously, everyone in the entire community said, "No, go away." Oh, my camera's a little off, out of focus, I've noticed. Yeah, so everyone in the community said, no, you are not raising our HOA by 244. There are people here on a fixed income that'll bankrupt them. And 244, I'm not on a fixed income. I'm a systems engineer. I actually earn a bunch of money. I can barely afford $244 extra a month. Yeah, exactly. 1 inch taller grass. I actually, it's HOAs are. It is so wild that HOAs are so popular in America because what is the stereotypical American thing? It's freedom at all costs, right? It's like if you aren't free, then you aren't living. Oh, but by the way, if your grass is too long, here's a $500 fine. And in my old house, I had an HOA. I owned a house in Ventura as well. In my old house, the HOA, the bulb went out at my porch light. So my porch light bulb went out, and one of the board members of the HOA came around and said, "You got to be careful. If you don't fix that porch light, you'll get a fine." And I was thinking, and he said this to my face, and I was thinking, you are on the HOA board. When you say you'll get a fine, what you mean is I'll give you a fine. Which is like, oh, HOAs piss me off so much. I'm behind on chat. And yeah, I'm horrendous at Counter-Strike. So that's why I haven't made a Counter-Strike video, because you would see how terrible, how absolutely awful I am at Counter-Strike. The only game I'm even borderline competent at is Halo Infinite, and no one plays Halo Infinite but me. But hey, I did just play Halo this morning, and I got it was a Husky raid, and I got 55 kills, 20 deaths or something. So, you know, I'm okay at Halo. I'm pretty good at Halo. And yeah, the other thing with oh god, I completely lost my train of thought. The stupid air compressor. The air compressor turned on and ruined my train of thought. Oh, that was gonna say. The other thing with painting is thin layers. Thin your paints, do as thin layers as you possibly can, because that's how you make a good finish. So obviously it would be way quicker for me to just go and it's done. But that's not how you get a good finish. You want to do very, very gently, very, very thin layers. And I think that's all the interior that I'm going to do right now. The other thing with the airbrush is you need an absolute bucket load of this airbrush cleaner. It's you have to run airbrush cleaner through it. In fact, what I usually do, I will be right back. I have to fill up my cup with water. I'm back. So what I normally do is I run some water through it, and then run the airbrush cleaner through it between every color. Like if you can't just, if you want an airbrush to last, you can't just, treat it like a regular paintbrush. And you're totally right, Unreal. I appreciate the things the HOA does, and my neighborhood is pretty nice. but if you shouldn't be allowed to just randomly charge people 244 extra dollars a month when they may be on a fixed income. So yeah, it's I consider them a necessary evil, which is really unfortunate, but hey, that's the reality of the world. Is it's 90% of the world is necessary evils, eh? And yeah, it is not a fast process using an airbrush. So water run through it, now airbrush cleaner run through it. I'm not even sure what this stuff is. It smells bad, but it's made by Iwata, which is the same as the airbrush. Yes. Yeah, I know. I tell you what, Unreal, that's a really good point. I've been having more fun playing indie games on the Steam Deck, which is integrated graphics, than I have been on my full-size Mega PC back there. And that's partially because, I mean, indie games are just more fun than AAA games. But it's also like just being able to sit anywhere and not worry about heat, because modern computers get so hot, it's actually insane. And when it's a hot summer, and I mean you're in Dubai, so where it's even hotter than Colorado, it gets so hot in here. Even with an AC unit in here, it's actually like deeply unpleasant. But downstairs it's not so bad because I can open the windows and get a fan on. And it's so nice that so many games nowadays run on relatively low-end hardware. Obviously, you're not going to run Jedi Survivor, which is one of the worst AAA games I've ever, worst performing AAA games I've ever played. You're not going to run Jedi Survivor. But Nightmare Reaper is fantastic. I absolutely adore Nightmare Reaper. Why? Oh, man. Yeah, I make a YouTube channel just playing mobile games on the loo. Yeah, honestly, I redid my bathroom recently, and I considered putting running a new circuit to the bathroom so that I could charge things while I was on the toilet. Yes, Amiga 500. That's before my time, but the Amiga was absolutely killer. If you haven't seen it already, I think it's an Amiga. There's a YouTube video called 4-Byte Burger on a channel called, what is it? Ahoy? I think it's Ahoy. AHOY. That is absolutely fantastic. And what they do is they take a magazine scan of artwork and they recreate it using modern methods, because the Amiga that it was originally made on, obviously they didn't save it. They just took a photo of the screen and then printed the photo of the screen in the magazine. And so this artwork has only existed in a subpar format, and I'm pretty sure it was an Amiga that was the original tool used for that. The Amiga was absolutely awesome. That's so cool, letting your nephews play on an Amiga, man. You should come on, my sister. Have a kid so I can be the weird uncle with all the strange things, because I'm certainly not going to have a child anytime soon. On Roblox. Yeah, I mean, Roblox is at once brilliant and awful, because what people make on Roblox is astonishing. Like, the games they make on Roblox look better than certain real, quote unquote, real games made by industry professionals, and it's like teenagers on laptops. But then at the same time, the actual company that produces Roblox is incredibly evil. And I just wish that the platform could be separated from the company, because the actual creations that these kids make are amazing and they blow my mind. how good some of the Roblox things are. So I'm not a developer. Obviously, I'm an idiot. You have to have brains to be a game developer, and I don't have any of those because I've been sniffing the Tamiya extra thin. Are skills that you develop in Roblox transferable to like quote unquote real engines? Yeah, looks better than modern CODs. Yeah, modern Call of Duty is absolutely awful. I cannot stand modern Call of Duty. I played COD 4 on the 360 years and years ago. And the fact that a game I played as a teenager in high school is now getting remade. Or sorry, COD 4 isn't being remade. The 2 sequels to it are being remade, which is like awful. Makes me feel like I'm a skeleton crumbling to dust. But those games run like trash. Those games run awfully. And when you look at something like a Roblox game or BattleBit on Steam, BattleBit Remastered, which obviously is more like Battlefield than Call of Duty, but it is so much better than modern COD. It looks better and it runs better than modern COD. And it's man, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do with the games industry because the only things I find interesting are Halo Infinite and indie games. I guess that's just how it's going to be. So yeah, all I've done with the control panel is just do basic black, and yeah, I did thin layers, hand painted thin layers with the brush. Let me look at chat. And yeah, large games that protect users, absolutely. Because if most of your users are kids, you need special rules for that. You can't just when it's kids playing your games. So in film, in Hollywood, if you have a child actor, there are 1,000,001 different rules you have to follow to make sure that child actor has a teacher on staff, has their parents' guardians on staff. They need a special trailer that is away from noise and away from big stuff, from construction and whatever, so they can study and so they can rest. And when child stars have parents who are their guardians who keep their pay, there are rules about what those parents can actually do with that pay. And there are all these rules. And those rules do not exist on YouTube. They don't exist on Roblox. They don't exist anywhere aside from Hollywood. And it feels like a recipe for disaster when you have millions. I mean, Roblox has millions of users now. Millions. That's nuts. That's insane. You've got millions of kids who are doing free labor and getting paid. There's a People Make Games video about this, about how Roblox monetization works. And yes, you can be paid, but they take like 50% of it, and you can only pay out if you've got over $1,000 in revenue. And so there's all these rules. And the rules basically are designed so that the fewest number of people will ever be paid, which is really shady. Modern CODs, yeah, milk every single bill out of your wallet and 100% skins of DLC. There's a skin for it's the extraction shooter. What's the extraction mode? I don't play it, so I don't know. But there's a skin that gives you a UAV right at the start of the game. Excuse me, that is a paid skin that gives you an advantage in the game. What are you doing? You're trying to pretend this is a competitive game, but you're giving but if you pay them a few extra dollars, you get a UAV for free. What? Roblox games developers would have to adapt to a new engine. Yeah, you have skills in Roblox, and then you have skills in other engines, and they're not directly comparable. And yeah, voice chat is for those 13 and above. It'd be nice if you could at least speak without having censorship worse than the CCP. I know what you mean. I used to my video. I have not made a video on Roblox. People Make Games' video? Maybe I should make a video on Roblox. But yeah, in high school I played RuneScape, old school RuneScape. And the censorship on that was ridiculous. And that was like, oh God, how many years ago was I in high school? Many. That was awful. So I can't imagine what the censorship on Roblox is like. I completely lost my train of thought because I was distracted by good chat messages. So I did the control panel is just black. Someday I'll remember which way is telephoto and which way is not. So yeah, that's just control panel and stick in black. And then I'll do the pedals. I think the pedals were bare metal. I don't think they were painted. So I'll do, I'll probably do those in aluminium. I have some Vallejo aluminium. And yeah, VR chat. I have never been into VR chat. I'm very into VR. I've never been into VR chat because you go into VR chat and it takes you about 3 minutes to find something that's extremely pornographic. And I did that once and I went, you know what? I think I'm good. I don't think I'm into this. Thanks though. You kids have fun. And yeah, basically all sandbox generated games have issues with adult content. There was a Lego game years and years ago. It was a Lego game which had it basically collapsed. It was supposed to be an MMO. Was it Lego Worlds? I can't remember. But what they did, they basically ran into roadblocks where roadblocks, ROADBLOCKS, not Roblox. They ran into issues because people would build explicit content in the game out of Lego. And they didn't want people to do that. And so they tried to build tools to prevent that. And it's actually really, really hard to prevent people from drawing explicit objects in a kid's game. And so they basically gave up and said, no, we're not, this is impossible. And it can't have been Lego Worlds because that game actually came out. But the game I'm talking about, Tube VR. Man, maybe I should get into VR chat. Should I get into VR chat? I have an HTC Vive, so I don't have like some full body tracking or anything. It's pretty basic. It's in the other room. It's right next to the dinosaur skeleton. Got to be careful not to punch the dinosaur when I'm playing Beat Saber. So yeah, I've always been fascinated by it. VR chat is so fascinating. In my experience, I joined VR chat, then half naked anime character. That's pretty much what I got. You join, you go to some thing, or someone says, "Hey, check this out, follow me," and then you follow them, and there's something awful. So yeah, VR chat. Maybe I should get into it. Maybe I should. So it looks like on the seat, it's actually only half padded. Normally they're fully padded, but I know the seats were bare aluminium in the Spitfires, and then they would pad them with dark red leather, which should fade over time. And in fact, if you look at modeling forums, there is so much discussion about like, hey, this plane when it was brand new was very dark gray. And then when you leave it in the sun for 3 hours, it turns into dark blue. What should I paint my model, dark gray or dark blue? And yeah, in public service, maybe I should host my own. I mean, I've got. What do you need to host a VR chat server? I've never even looked into it. I have gigabit internet, gigabit fiber, but I've no idea if it's like requiring ID to join. Yeah, that's probably a really good. Honestly, we should keep kids like far away from the internet. Me having access to the internet in like 1998 did irreparable damage to me. I remember coming home from school. This is such a like millennial experience. I came home from school and my dad was like, I found this incredible new website. This amazing new website. It's called eBay. I've never seen anything like it. Roblox tried for voice chat. they'd use fake IDs. Yeah, or use the parents' ones. Yes, here I am. I'm a 45-year-old, and I'm going to play Roblox. And yeah, I mean, if they can't get fake IDs out of like bars where it's in person and you can see, how are they gonna deal with that in an online game? I guess when you join in join voice chat and they're really, really squeaky, I bet the shipping is awful in where you live. They do the global shipping program. I've had horrendous results with the eBay global shipping program, where I'll order something from like Spain, like, not the middle of nowhere. Spain is a big country, and it'll arrive and it will look like they ran it over with the van on the way. It will be completely ruined. So I do not trust the eBay global shipping program, and that's going from Spain to the US, which is not actually that big of a deal. If you're going to Dubai, that must be absolutely nuts. I was on bulletin boards on my Amiga. Yeah, I know. Hey, I won't say it because I'll probably get nuked by YouTube. There's that old internet song about what the internet is for, and people would make parodies of it. What was that? SNL? I think it was SNL, wasn't it? Andy Samberg. I don't know. I'm not. I'm not a pop culture expert. I'm not an expert on anything really. So yeah, I've done a whole bunch of aluminium on the seat. I'll show you that in a second. And I'm going to do. Where's my red leather color? It was like dark red. Here we go. Cadmium red or something. Burnt cad red. Yeah, cadmium red. Yeah, they put a tank, drive over a few landmines. Yeah, exactly. With GPUs, something that's really delicate and can be destroyed without visible damage, and could be ruined without visible damage, like a GPU, is even worse. Obviously, I've always bought my computers. Pick up a bar using touch controllers, and the game measures your height and arm span. That's so funny. What if you're just really short? I swear I'm 30. Not that would be a problem for me. I'm 6'1". But if you were really short, that would be awful. I know people who are really short who probably wouldn't pass that because they're like 5 foot nothing. He texted me. Well, the guy I'm thinking of texted me this morning even. How funny. What a brilliant way of doing that. Yeah, that's nuts. I'm going to go on that. I'm going to go on one of those and pretend to be short. I'll mess up the calibration of my controllers so that it looks like I'm 3 foot tall. There's another one. Age check. Where were you when 9/11 happened? If you don't remember that, you can't come on this server. Or what other would it be? Where were you when Steve Irwin died? That's mean. I shouldn't say that. I do remember though. Yeah, email proof to the Discord. I mean, yeah, there's no other way of doing it. You need manual people to look at it and be like, hey, this is clearly a fake ID, or this person is clearly a child. Oh, I've messed this up a little bit because I didn't follow my own advice, and this is an airbrush paint, so I didn't thin it. I didn't thin the paint, and it's not an amazing finish. That looks all right. Let me do a close-up. I do the wrong direction every time. There we go. So yeah, the cadmium red is supposed to be like a leather backing. And Discord mods can't be trusted. No. Discord mods cannot be trusted. I don't actually use Discord. Someone invited me to one of the servers and was like, "Hey, this is fun. You'll have a good time. All my friends are here." And then I'm like, I can't wait to be groomed. wait for a Discord mod to slide into me DMs thinking I'm a 13-year-old girl. Yeah, half the time they just want you to do it exactly. And the worst thing is, you give people like that the slightest modicum of power, and they go absolutely nuts with it. I mean, I'm the same. Soon as I actually built a new email signature system for my company, and as soon as I did it, I was like, ooh, I could make anyone's signature anything I wanted, and they couldn't change it. There we go. I think that's the seat done. Annoyingly, I forgot that I also wanted to use the silver on the interior of the plane. Hopefully it's still good. Yeah, you have to be extremely careful. I would be extremely careful. I'm an adult man. I can't imagine like a teenage girl or even a teenage boy going on Discord unsupervised. It's another reason I'd never have a kid. I wouldn't be able to moderate them. I mean, when I was a kid, I broke through every wall my parents put up for me. I use an anime profile picture, so yeah, exactly. That is nuts. That's like a honeypot having an anime profile picture. It's like your honeypot of getting Discord mods in your DMs. That's really funny. And yeah, I'm going to use aluminium on the pedals because I think they were unpainted. I'm not a historian. I'm just a guy who likes planes. Not even World War II. This is post-war, 1950. About, I think. I might do some dry brushing. Yeah. Oh, this is the wrong brush for dry brushing. Yes, and the biggest mistake people make, that's a really good point. The biggest mistake people make with kids is thinking they're stupid. Kids are not stupid. Kids are really, 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 really clever. They are adults, but smaller. And I don't know. I have friends, obviously, with kids, young kids, and I have friends who are like very technologically adept, very, very good with this stuff, and they cannot stop their kids from accessing stuff online. And you think, you are a network engineer. Literally, you're a network engineer. How are you unable to stop a kid from getting on naughty websites? That's nuts. So I'm going to do tiny highlights of Mornfang Brown from Citadel, basically. Oh no, I have better browns. I'm not going to use that. Yeah, Citadel paints are not amazing, medium brown, because the Spitfire's control stick had leather wrappings. So I've done silver, black and silver, and then I'll do a tiny spot of brown for leather wraps. Yeah, exactly. Every other video on YouTube has a VPN ad. I've actually been on my contact email. I do get emails there, even though I only have 3,000 subs or something. Most of them are clearly scams. The ones that aren't are like, or aren't scams, right? The ones that aren't are like all VPNs. It must be so cheap to set up a VPN thing because every single like every single YouTube channel has a video sponsored by a VPN, and every single one of those is a different VPN. So it must be so cheap to set one up. Yeah, exactly. There's a registry edit exploit, and all you got to do is Google. I mean, growing up in the thousands, Google existed. Google's been around since 1996. You could just search bypass Windows 7 firewall. Oh look, here's a Stack Exchange thread all about that. That's like a legitimate business user who needed a solution, and now the kid's using it to look at pornography. And yeah, China, a VPN is required because of the Great Firewall. baked bundles of money from mugs trying to hide their explicit content on their work laptops. By the way, I'm a sysadmin. IT can see everything you do on your computer. Most of the time, we don't care. But if you do something really bad, you can get fired for it. And we have fired people for doing bad things on their work computer. So here's the thing: just don't buy a laptop off eBay and do it on that. If you're gonna do it anyway, you might as well at least be a little bit safe about it. So, since there's no decal for the control panel, which I think is very annoying. Airfix. This is going to be Cartograph printed these. Airfix decals are usually exceptionally good, and even the big one, the 1-24, had a decal for the control panel. So I'm just not sure what they expect you to do, because I am not good enough to paint. I am not good enough to paint the control panel on a 1-48 plane. How long have we been live? An hour. Yeah, I said I was an hour. Yeah, Sax for letting his laptop. Really? Is that he did that on his work laptop? Oh my god, he deserves to be fired. That's so funny. Yeah, he deserves to be fired for that. That's really stupid. Let's see. I'm getting texts. Yeah, I think I'm gonna finish up now. I've been live for an hour. I'm getting tired. I'm getting sore because I have to do this in a very awkward way because the camera's right there. But it was really fun talking to you, Unreal and Old Poi. I wish you luck in your buying things off eBay adventures, and let me know how your nephews handled the Amiga, because I assume I'm older than your nephews, and I don't know how well I'd handle an Amiga. So good luck to them. All right, this is a very short stream, a test stream, but I really appreciate you hanging around. And I guess if I do another one, I'll put out a community note. So I will see you later. How the hell do I stop the stream?